I'd like to tell you about myself. My name is Amy. I'm a homeschooling mother. I have 3 beautiful children. I've been married for almost 3 years now. I'm a registered nurse, and my husband and I own a home in Mount Juliet. God has really blessed me. He has given me beauty for ashes. Through everything that I lived through, I always knew there was a God. At some point, though, I just didn't think He knew there was a me. My mother was a single mother, and I had one brother, an older brother, and until we were 6 years old, we lived in a pretty safe place, knowing that we were loved. And then I went to visit my grandmother, and she, for some reason I never did understand, had us taken away from my mother and put into foster care. So there I was a 6-year-old girl, and I had been taken away from everything I ever knew. I was in and out of foster homes over the next 2 years. When I was 10, I met my father briefly, just long enough for him to steal my innocence, and then he disappeared again. He eventually died when I was 12 years old. I went back into foster care, in and out of foster homes, till I was 14 when my mom got custody back. She was at this time already so submerged in her addiction that she couldn't care for my brother and I. We got evicted from our house, so he and I went to live with my boyfriend, and it was during that time that I began using drugs. I found out when I was 17 years old that my mom, who was living in Centennial Park, had been murdered by her using partner. At that same time, I found out that my boyfriend was seeing my best friend, so I decided that I'd had enough, and I just went to the streets. I eventually met a woman who allowed me to live with her and got me a job working in a bar. So I worked at a local fast food restaurant during the week and a bar on the weekends. I was still 17 years old, but nobody seemed to ask or care about that. During my time working at the bar, I started seeing a lot of men frequently. This was how I found my self-worth. This is where I got the need met, the need to feel pretty. One particular night, I met a man who I left the bar with. He introduced me to a gentleman's club that night. I got a job there. Also, he introduced me to crack cocaine. This addiction took everything from me. It took my self-respect, it took my money, it took my health, it took my dignity, it took everything that I had, and still wanted more. I eventually lost my job at the Gentlemen's Club and went to the streets and began doing whatever I needed to do to obtain and consume this drug. The man I was with watched over me. We slept wherever we could in condemned buildings or abandoned houses, outside under the bridge in makeshift camps. During this time, I was raped and robbed and beaten, arrested several times. So with my life for the next 3 years, I continued this way until after one arrest, I was taken downtown, and as a standard procedure, I was tested for several things, and one of these tests for the first time came back positive. I was pregnant.